In this video, I'm going to use the R and ggplot to make a pie chart. Now, in a previous version of this presentation, I took the same data of the areas of the continents, Asia, Africa, etc., and I used the plot tricks library uh, to make sort of an exploded pie chart. And I thought that one was reasonably good looking, but ggplot is a fairly standard plotting library, so I wanted to be able to do it in ggplot as well. And a lot of people will poo-poo pie charts, and I'm just going to sort of say that if you want to make one, here's how. And if your idea is what you want to convey is just sort of the percentages of something, then it is sort of a standard thing. Okay, so and this is going to develop in a funny way because of the way ggplot is, but it's only going to become a pie chart at the very end. So it's going to be a stacked bar chart, and then only at the end be turned into a pie chart. Okay, so I'm going to use the ggplot library. I already have it installed. I'm going to read the data that I have on my website from a CSV, and then I'm going to rename the areas here. Are probably I probably have something like they're in meters squared or something like that, and so I didn't want the columns to be that complicated, so I renamed the columns. So that's up to here. So I have my data now in a data frame. It's got name and area, Asia, Africa, Europe, and here are these areas, I think probably meter squared or something. Maybe mile squared, I don't know. Doesn't matter because we're going to do a pie chart and all we care about is percentages. Okay. I want to create another column of percentages and then a fourth uh, column of what I'm going to call like a percentage label. So one of them, so I am taking the continent's area and dividing it by the sum of the continent's area and multiplying by 100. So that's me making percentages. And then I am repeating that. I could have just used what I just created above, but I did it all over again. And I am rounding it to one decimal place after multiplying it by 100. So it'll be like, 19.2, and then adding a percent sign. So the percent will be a number, and the percent label will be, because I'm concatenating all the percent sign, it's going to be a string. Okay. So I'm just adding to what I already have. Okay. And now the way this data was arranged, it has Antarctica last, and I want to, but it's Antarctica is not the last, but it's the next to the last in terms of area. So I wanted to order my continents in an order, and so of decreasing area. So you're not going to see much change here because the change is at the end. I'm rearranging Australia and Antarctica. But here's me uh, taking the continents by area and ordering them, and then this is me putting the continents in the order based on the area, decreasing and making it the new continents. So let me see here if I can say continents before and after so you can see. So let me run up to there. So here was before I had Australia, then Antarctica, but Antarctica has more area than Australia, and now I have rearranged them. Okay. So that's what this 1213 was all about, getting them in an order. And then I wanted to remember the names of the continents in order. So when I make the first, I'm going to make this stacked bar plot, and it's the continent names are going to be, I think they call the fill, and it's going to want to alphabetize them. So it's going to put Africa, then Antarctica, then Asia or something. So it's this order that I want to preserve this order. So I'm grabbing a vector. I'm grabbing that column. After I've ordered continents, I'm grabbing the name column and creating a separate vector called the name order. So then I can use that when I make my chart. Here's another thing setting up for my chart, and I want to know where to place the percentages. So the percentages and the areas have the same order, but I'm going to plot based on percentages. And so I'm going to make a I want to have a vector of y values to say where I'm going to put some label. And I'm going to put it sort of halfway. So I'm counting down from 100. I made percentages, and percentages start at 100. And I am looping through the continents, and they're ordered by Asia down. When I make this graph, Asia is going to be at the top. So I'm going to start at the sum at 100, and I'm going to take the first continent, Asia, and I'm going to take its percentage and divide it by 2. So let's say it's 20%. Let's say 20% of the area is Asia, then I'm going to divide that by 2 and get 10 and subtract it from the sum, which started off at 100. So Asia being, if Asia is 20, I'm going from 80 to 100, but at a position of 90, that's where I want the label sort of in the middle of that. So that's what this level is, this sort of middle of the thing. And then I'm appending it to my lab Y, my set of positions. And then I'm subtracting the full 20 from the sum. So now I'm at 80. So let's say Africa was another 20. Then I'm going to start all over again, and I want to subtract then from the 80. So if Africa is going from 60 to 80, then I want it to be at 70. So I want it. Okay. So that's what this is doing. And so I have the percentages are at 2620. That's why I was saying 2020. And then here are my lab Ys, 18 or 89, 68. So these are where I'm going to place the percentage labels I'm going to put inside these sections, and I want to know where to put them. So that was the purpose of this. Okay, so let's finally make a plot. I'm making a ggplot of the continents data frame, and the aesthetics. I'm not going to have an X. There's just going to be a single bar, so there is no X, or X is quote quote. The Y I'm doing is the percentages, and then the fill is going to be the names, but I'm using this factor of the names because I don't want it to mess with the order. It wants so badly, it wants to put them in alphabetical order, and I am working like a dog to tell it not to do that. And then, particularly what kind of plot I'm going to make a bar plot. And I don't think I ran everything above. There we go. I talked about some things, but didn't run them. Now I've run them. Okay. I never ran the name order, so it's saying, what the hell do you mean by name order? But now it knows. Okay. So here is this stacked bar thing, one bar stacked. We're plotting, this is the percentage going up to 100. Here are the normal sort of grid levels, 0, 25, 50. And here are the continents. Okay. I want a title for my graph. So that's this next little bit. And I'm just sort of building up slowly. So you can chain all this stuff together in ggplot, but I like to build up slowly. So I'm taking that approach. So I've added a title, continents by area. I don't, because I had to do this factor thing to keep the order I wanted, that's what it named the legend, which is kind of silly. So this is me renaming the legend. So this code here renames the legend. Okay. And then now I want to finally add my labels. I want to say, oh, here's Asia up here, and it was almost 20%. Africa was almost 20%. I want to put in those percents. So I'm doing a geom underscore text. I'm saying that lab Y, that vector I made above, that's the positions vertically as I'm going up. And then what's the label? The percentage of what I have plotted, the continents, they had a field I called percent under PERC underscore lab, the label of the percent. And that's what I want to be my labels, and they're going to be white and size 4. So now I have my percentages in my bars. Okay. I'm going to just show that I can control the colors. These are not bad colors. I didn't really have any problem with these colors. But I guess I just wanted it maybe darker, so I chose some darker colors. And sometimes they usually choose from like a spectrum, and then two things that are next to each other tend to be from the same part of the spectrum and don't always have a nice contrast. So here we have a green, a sort of a blue, green, a blue, sort of all together. They can, so if I just make my own vector of color names, I can sort of, you know, go back and forth in the contrast, or changing the colors to up the contrast. And so this is scale fill manual based on my calls, which were my colors. Okay. So I'm just changing the colors. You could say you don't like my colors. I'm not sure I like my colors, but just be able to have control over the colors. Okay. Now, finally, we're about ready to turn it into a pie chart. And one thing is that once we get to a pie chart, then this sort of grid in which it's all placed is not going to make any sense. So that's what this theme void is going to do, is going to take out this sort of gray stuff and just be left with the bar itself. And then finally, there's this coordinate polar thing. And that's the final last step, because after all that we're saying, that this was going to be a pie chart, so let's make it a pie chart. And that's what this does. And there we have my pie chart doing ggplot. Again, I thought I did as good a job, or if not better, using the plot tricks library the previous time. But again, ggplot is kind of standard, and we did have to learn some tricks along the way to make this work. So not a complete waste of time. And I think that's all I want to talk about this time. So thanks for your attention.